Hello, everybody. It is Narrative Tarot. I'm here for your Aries season reading. So I am Narrative Tarot. Like I said, comment, like, subscribe to the channel. Commenting and liking just populates the video more. Lets YouTube know, hey, everything over there is good. Subscribing just keeps you in the loop. I do monthly planet readings, which will start either today or tomorrow, but probably today. I'm filming this at like almost 1 a.m. and then it'll continue until all the planet readings are done. So planet readings are if you have any particularly influential aspects in your natal chart, so you would have to know your natal chart. I do put the readings up with the planet and then the sign that it corresponds to, but it's more for if you know your natal chart and you know what aspects are happening in your chart with regards to the planets, then stay tuned. So it could be like the natal chart or like the progress chart, but basically, so that's that. Okay, I'm not gonna do it anymore. This is quite different than before. Normally I do some at the top and some at the bottom, but I'm just gonna do it. So Aries season, we're gonna get into what is kind of being left behind. So we have the, what is this? Queen of Swords, the Hanged Man, Knight of Wands, Judgment, and Five of Coins. So I feel like Pisces season was quite interesting. There is no cohesive like message that I get from this. The message that I get is just it was a lot of little incidences that happened. So it didn't come through as really eventful. I'm getting for a lot of people, it wasn't really eventful. It's like all the stuff. It wasn't really eventful. You kind of were able to just take it and glide. There was a little bit of wistfulness. It wasn't an upsetting month. It wasn't like a bunch of like retrogrades or anything like that. So there wasn't anything that would be very turbulent with regards to the month. And that's a great thing because you were able to finally like breathe. I think 2020 was like a harsh year for everybody, but 2021 seems to be kind of going not without a hitch, but it's like the hitches are just not as noticeable. They're not as noticeable and they're not as hard to overcome is what I'm getting from this. Because like with the Queen of Swords, you're able to not anticipate, but you're able to almost like think about these things. So I feel like there was a lot of meditation while eating or doing tasks about what you had to do. It was almost like absent-minded in a way. And so Pisces season was just kind of just doing things. Not doing things to do them, not doing them without direction, but it was kind of like being on autopilot for a lot of people I'm getting. So it was quite on autopilot. There was a lot of mental reflection. It was a lot of blinking out maybe. So I don't know if people had like a lot of headaches or something like that. But it feels like the dream world, the dream space, the head space was really important. But like blacking out was quite important to this whole thing. The head space, which is really important, and kind of keeping it as blank as possible yielded the best result. So the dream world was pretty active. The dream world was moving things forward while you were sleeping. Like things may have been watching you. That's like maybe in whatever, but you were just moving forward mentally. It wasn't that big of a stretch. It wasn't that hard to do. It wasn't anything pressing that you had to work on. It seems like it wasn't anything pressing. It was just your life was moving forward. You may have really active dreams. You may have dreams of childhood or being a child or being small or being in a dreamlike state that kind of resembles this, where things are kind of a little bit surreal or fantasy or even sci-fi or something like that. You may have had really interesting dreams that pulled in those elements. It might just be a repressed side of you that is trying to come out with Pisces season, and so you were meant to explore that. Maybe you were meant to explore childhood wounds and things like that, but it doesn't have to. We have the Judgment card, so with that, it doesn't seem like there was any harsh judgments made. I think there were decisions that were made that were concrete and solid, and they'll take you into the next astrological year. Oh God, ooh. The next astrological year, but there aren't any like really harsh things that you're cutting off or toxic people or anything like that. Like I said, it seemed pretty smooth. It's either you kind of just magically or just smoothly transition from one state to another, or like the things and the people just moved out very smoothly. There wasn't any like harsh breakups or harsh endings. It was just like, it's almost like you may not have noticed that these people, places, things left until the Aries season. Then you'd be like, oh wait, like I haven't talked to this person in like 6 months, or I haven't talked to this person in like a month, or like what's going on with them, or something like that. Another thing to note is that it may have been really easy for people to like pass away in this period. So if you were dealing with a loss, understand that it was a decision to go in a period of time that wasn't so harsh. So like it feels like if this is something from like the dream, not the dream world, but like beyond the veil, that like the person chose this particular time because it seemed like the easiest time to go. It was the easiest time, the smoothest transition. The planets were such that it made their transition like dreamy almost, and that it wasn't like this harsh kind of transitional state that they had to be in. And so if you lost anybody, condolences, but the person is okay. 5 of Coins is the last card. So we have a little bit of a like sore spot. There might be like a few things that you're still missing. Like you either miss them like from your past or relationships. It could be a person that passed, or it could just be like an element that's missing that's quite elusive, and you feel like because it's so elusive that it's so detrimental to your moving forward, moving on. It's so heartbreaking to not know what it is. Like it really burns at you. It really pecks at you, because like her chest is kind of like pecked. It really like almost harms you to not know. It harms you not to understand, to have a way forward. And so like that's what we're coming into. If you experience that, like for the most part most people transitioned well into Aries season, but for some people there is a bit of an indication that there was like something lacking. And so the next astrological year may be to figure out what that was, or to let those feelings go, work on them, or something like that, as opposed to, but it's not in a Aries kind of way. Like I don't know how long it's going to take you to wrap it up. It may be another water season or a milder mannered season to deal with it, but it came out pretty soft. It's not the 5 of Swords, which would be a much harsher energy. It's like a softer energy. It's just like a veil of wallow. Like it's a veil. It's like a very thin veil of melancholy. That's what I feel. So either that's gonna go away, like that's either gonna go away in Aries season moving forward for the new astrological year, or it's something that's supposed to be tackled in this upcoming astrological year for you to uncover something. Let's see. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is gonna be a short Aries season. I'll show you. You want it? So you have Nothingness, Hierophant, Thunderbolt, the Tower. I really forgot which this one is. I kind of feel like it is the Knight of Water. Then we have the Hermit, which is aloneness, I'm sorry. And this is Understanding. And then Comparison, or the Five of Swords. So it's interesting that the Five of Swords came out when I said the Five of Pentacles. I still feel quite light. Like, I don't feel so really interesting. I don't feel so like, yeah, like charged up for like Mars season. Yeah, like I feel like the transition from one state to another is very, very, it's not that big of a deal. There's no big hurrah. There's no big announcement. It just kind of happens. Like, it just, you blink and then you open your eyes. You blink and you open your eyes and then like it's here. And so what I will say with that though is, if there was anything that carried over that you were like blanking on, it will become quite apparent. It's like it'll become really apparent what progress you have and haven't made, but it's not so destructive. Like, I see the Thunderbolt, but I kind of feel like that's more of like being energized, your central nervous system being energized. It may be overstimulated if there's a bunch of things that have piled up for you. So you have to make sure that you've completed paperwork, you've understood certain things about yourself, relationships you've taken care of with yourself and other people, your tasks, your goals, just things like that, because it doesn't seem like it's gonna come like to bite you in the ass if you didn't do this stuff, but it seems like there's no vengeance with this. Like, I feel like sometimes Aries is seen as like a very vengeful sign or very confrontational sign. Like, this isn't really the Aries season, as far as I'm feeling, that's going to be like quite vengeful or quite pushing or something like that. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's a more internal one-on-one person, where the one-on-one is just like the person versus the person kind of thing, and it's going to be your own like individual thing, as opposed to somebody else like being the confrontational person, being the whatever. If anything, the veil is like the other people, like the spirit realm, doing this, as opposed to like humans. So you may blink out and then it's Aries season and then you feel like a bunch of stuff happening. So if it's calm now, it'll waken up and be more alive in the future. It's just not going to be alive in the future where like you're buzzing and you have to do a bunch of stuff. It'll probably be like you can steadily do things, unless there is some like issues with overstimulation that you previously probably brought into the cycle that wasn't resolved and dealt with, which is that Five of Pentacles. Then you have Understanding. I feel like in Aries season, what was holding you back in Pisces season is going to come to light and move you forward. It may not be something where like I said, it's a really big issue, but it is something that is important to your growth as a person. So if you want to move forward with a certain idea, project, or just way of being, and it wasn't fully resolved, the issues that will cause you, that would allow you to move forward once you solve them. Okay, so if the issues that so if the issues that blocked you from moving forward aren't resolved, you'll feel like you're trapped even though you really aren't. So this idea that you like can't connect or you can't move forward is just going to be there, and it's going to be false, and it's going to be illusory, and you'll be melancholic and things like that, and your Aries season is going to be quite dampened by comparison. It's like it's not going from one extreme to the other with the thunderbolt understanding. It's just this idea that there's like a knowing within you that needs to be let out. But if there's certain things that haven't resolved themselves last astrological year, you're gonna feel stuck. And so the way for you to like move forward with this judgment card is to go within, or some sort of journey. It's a psychological journey, so I would say make your own guided meditation or listen to them. You can even do like color therapies. I mean, astral travel, maybe. I wouldn't recommend it unless you know what you're doing. Reading books that may be particularly helpful. Reading scripture if you're someone who does that. Going outside, meditating on being in a particular place in the world, things like that. You could actually have a meditation of being at the edge of a cliff, and being at the edge of a cliff that's completely dark, right? And then imagine light coming up from this place, which is a source of knowing, or maybe your subconscious. So maybe a meditation to go to your subconscious as a literal place. And then the color that comes up, maybe within that color there's a certain thing, like, I don't know, you do this meditation and you see a red light, and when the red light rises up and it meets you face to face, there's a snake in there. That could be telling you something as far as regeneration. It could be telling you something as a warning with the red. It could be telling you something as kundalini or whatever. And so that is going to help you move forward with Aries season. Lastly, we have the Five of Pentacles and the Five of Swords, which is comparison. So this Aries season, don't compare yourself to people. This Aries season, that may be the melancholic feeling that carried over. Shining your light. Aries is the sign of, the first sign, I am. Is it I am? Yeah, I believe it's I am. And so it's the sign of the self, right? And Pisces is the sign of kind of like collective, like unconscious and the subconscious and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of funny that those two houses are very much together, but it's, I mean, it makes a lot of sense because you are, as an individual, a part of the collective, and it feels kind of heavy to be a part of it. And that's, I kind of feel like Aries senses that and tries to break away, because there might be just a little bit of heaviness that doesn't want to be there, because it's like, to always think of the collective is very hard to do. Very hard to heal everybody's problems, deal with everybody's problems, including your own. And it's not a healthy thing when you feel like you just are dissolving. I feel like an Aries would be really weary of feeling that dissolving kind of feeling, where everybody's meshed and everything is one and everything is kind of amorphous, and it's not, their thing. And so this might be a little bit of making sure that you have boundaries as a person, not to compare yourself, but that understand that you are different as a person, but that you do have similarities and overlaps, but it's like there is some retention of a self in the world. There's a retention of the self, and it doesn't have to be this like conflicted kind of attitude that you have to take about it. You don't have to be completely selfless where like you just are nothing essentially. I feel like, or you're a no thing, because that may not be a concept that you're ready to take on just yet, that you're a no thing, but, and you would have to figure out what that is for you, but there is like this push and pull of collective versus self with Aries season. So you are going to have to figure out the self in order to build upon the self to move into Taurus season, because that's when you really get to build upon it in a very material way. So your career, your relationships, things like that, money, right? Like we all don't have the same shared bank account. We all don't have the same shared house, even though our home, so to speak, is earth. But we don't live in the same house. We don't eat the same foods. We don't like the same clothes. We don't like the same decorations. Even in mass production, we don't like the same things. It's more of a, there's a collection of things. There's a range of things created. And then we pick and choose those things, or we create new things based on what we think should exist outside of that already known space. And so that already known space is what you're exploring, I think, in Aries season. And I think that it'll help you to not be so scared of being a part of a collective and also being an individual, merging the two, because you are both. You're part of the world. You're one of what, almost 8 billion people, right? So humans, you're one of 8 billion humans, and then you're also one person. So there's one collective and there's one you. So think about it. All right, thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this reading. I think it's going to be quite a calm Aries season. I don't feel any like really like pressing issues. I think finding the self is going to be way more important than doing anything else or driving actions. At the bottom of the deck is a 5 of Swords. At the bottom of this is the 5 of Swords and the Ace of Wands. So some of you guys may be getting into arguments about the self, about who you are, who people think you are. There might be a lot of misalignment judgments off of that. There might be a lot of criticisms off of that, but knowing that you are not going down. This is what is this? Justice. You're not going down based on people's like judgments of you. And that's another thing with Aries. So just make sure you're honest about yourself. You have death. Make sure you're honest about yourself and the things that you want and do want and don't want, are of you and aren't of you. And be honest about that, because yeah, we have the Hangman again. So understand dual nature as well. Don't reject yourself in Aries season. If there's something that's happy and positive about you, and then there's aspects of you that are less so, that are a little bit more bombastic, egoic, or whatever. That was 5 of Wands. Just be okay with it, right? Have the World, but it's in reverse. But we literally are starting a new cycle. So this is the wrapping up of Pisces season, but it's not the wrapping up of this new astrological year. We have a whole year to go now. So, all right, I think that's it. Once again, this energy. So definitely work on this self. Work on this self in the world. Work on how you think about yourself in the world at large. How a part of the world are you, and how different from the world are you? work on that because it just might be some conflicts. But definitely, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you in the next one. We're going to start our planet readings soon. Thanks. Bye.